I had always believed pain was private, that the scars on your skin don't matter if no one sees them. But that night on the frozen driveway, I discovered pain could become exposure, the kind that reveals what people hide behind their smiles. My name is Lena. I was 28, recently laid off, struggling to support my little boy Jonah alone. My sister Mara always had a safety net, a wealthy husband, designer bags, praise, status. But I never asked for their wealth, just for one day of kindness. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. We were leaving my parents' winter party, the kind of gathering where their perfect neighborhood friends applauded Mara's children and ignored my son. I wore the only boots I could afford. The heels had cracks, the soles nearly worn through. Snow had fallen heavier than forecast. The driveway was glazed. Mara led the way, holding her expensive fur-trimmed coat wrapped around her shoulders, laughing as my son teased her with snowflakes. I followed, cautious. Half a step. Ice. My foot slid sideways. I fell hard. The crack of my leg hitting the pavement echoed in my ears. I cried out, cruel cold biting through my clothes, Jonah's small cry behind me, his toy falling beside me. I couldn't rise. My leg twisted wrong. Pain flared. I could feel the bone shifting. But not one hand reached to help. Instead, I heard footsteps. My father's boot landed beside me. I looked up through tears, his face blank. "Get up," he said. No softness. I tried. Couldn't. My weight pinned me down. I moaned. My mother appeared, gloved hand on her fur collar, expression cold. She glanced at the crimson spot bleeding through my coat. "Don't bleed on the path," she sneered, stepping over me like I was nothing more than a stain. "You'll dirty Mara's shoes." Mara followed behind, heels clicking, gaze a mixture of annoyance and entitlement. "Get up, you drama queen," she said, her voice low, cruel. "You always try to steal the spotlight." My little boy knelt beside me, trembling. "Mommy?" he asked, voice brittle. "Are you okay?" My vision blurred, tears mingling with snowflakes. I tried to answer. The cold made my tongue heavy. My mother waved Jonah back. "Go inside. You're embarrassing me." My father stood watching, arms folded, breathing in the night. The car warmed behind him, lights glowing, waiting. My sister's bag dropped to the snow. Her gloves slipped mid-step. They turned and walked away, leaving me lying on ice, bleeding, broken. My son's cry broke me. I crawled toward him, my leg numb, tears freezing on my cheeks. That night, I discovered something I never should have had to learn. Sometimes family is cruel by design. Sometimes the ones who say they love you make you disappear. But lying in the snow, broken, I made a vow. They were going to watch me walk away, and they'd never again pretend I was too small to matter. My fingers were stiff from the cold, but I managed to cradle Jonah into my arms as best I could. My broken leg screamed with every inch I dragged us toward the dim porch light across the snowy driveway. But no one came out. They were inside, laughing, drinking, warm. That house was never home to me. It was a museum of Mara's achievements, filled with world's best daughter plaques, baby photos of her in silver frames, her wedding portrait in a gilded case. I had asked once where my graduation photo was. My mother said, "We don't hang disappointments on the wall." I got us to the edge of the driveway, slipping against the curb. Jonah clung to me, crying. My breath came in ragged bursts, steam rising from my lips. The lights inside flickered past the window, shadows dancing across velvet curtains as if nothing was wrong. I looked at Jonah's little blue fingers. He was getting too cold, too fast. I had no phone, no ride, no coat thick enough to fight this kind of winter. But I had him, and I'd been alone before. So I wrapped my son in the only thing I had, my thin scarf, my body, and all the love my family never gave me, and I began crawling, past their manicured hedges, past their glowing reindeer statues, past the car that Mara had just bought for her errands. Every crawl was fire in my bones, but pain was better than giving them what they wanted. my silence. We made it to the end of the cul-de-sac. I spotted a distant light through the trees, the faint blue glow of the 24-hour gas station. It was half a mile. It could have been forever. Jonah whimpered, his cheek against mine. "Mommy, I'm scared." "I know, baby," I said, "but I'm not letting go. Not now, not ever." I hoisted him up, gripping his legs with my good arm, hopping, limping, teeth clenched, every step like knives sawing into my leg. But I kept moving. The snow turned to sleet. The wind howled. My vision blurred. I thought I saw my grandmother walking beside me. She'd died years ago, but she was the only one who ever truly loved me. "You are not them," I imagined her whispering. "You are more." I made it to the gas station door and slammed against it with the last of my strength. The clerk gasped, "Ma'am, are you hurt?" Everything after that was a blur of lights, sirens, and the white brightness of the ER. A woman officer tried to take Jonah from me, but I clutched him tight until they assured me he was safe. A nurse cut open my jeans and stared at my swollen, bloody leg. "How long were you in the cold like this?" she asked. "Too long," I said, "but not long enough to freeze my heart." 2 days later, I lay in a hospital bed. My leg was in a cast. Jonah was warm, safe, smiling beside me, sipping juice with a nurse brushing his hair. And that's when they arrived. My mother, father, and Mara, dressed in black. They thought I'd died. Their faces froze when they saw me sitting up, alive. "You should have told us," my mother sniffed. "Really?" I asked, voice steady. "Like I told you I was laid off? Like I told you we had nowhere else to go? Like I told you I was bleeding on your driveway and you stepped over me?" They looked away. "We want to help," Mara said. "We could call a lawyer, file a case against the city for the ice." I laughed, a sound that wasn't pretty, but it was real. "No," I said. "You're going to do nothing, and you're going to stay away from us." My father's jaw twitched. "Don't be dramatic." I turned to the officer who had come to check on me. "Can I file a no-contact order?" The officer nodded. "Yes, you can." And I did. When they left, my son looked at me and said, "Are they bad people?" I thought for a long moment. "They're broken people," I said, "but that doesn't mean we have to be." I kissed his forehead, and for the first time in years, I felt safe. But I wasn't done, because while I healed, I quietly documented everything. Every photo, every cruel message from my mother calling me pathetic, every voice note Mara sent mocking my bad life choices. I turned their silence and my pain into a platform. I started a blog, a YouTube channel. Anonymous at first, sharing my story, my son's, and stories from other forgotten daughters who had been told they were worthless. And it exploded. One day, a video titled, "She Slipped on Ice. Her family stepped over her, but she crawled to freedom," hit 1 million views. The world heard me, listened, and eventually, my family saw it too. Their calls came, their apologies, their offers to talk. But I didn't answer. They had already made their choice that night on the ice. Now it was my turn to walk over them, not in cruelty, but in strength. It started with one email. A woman from Michigan wrote, "Your story saved me. I thought I was alone." Then a grandmother from Canada. "I raised my grandson after my daughter abandoned him. Your strength gave me hope." And then dozens, hundreds. Strangers began sharing their own versions of pain and survival. Every like, every comment was a tiny stitch sewing together the wound my family had left wide open for decades. I didn't use my real name online. I called myself the Frozen Daughter, a symbolic title that matched the winter night I was left to crawl through ice with my son. People resonated with it. I posted once a week, animations, voiceovers, photos of healing. I never named my parents. I never needed to. But the world is small, especially in our town. Soon, my sister's husband lost a client. The woman said she couldn't associate her brand with someone related to those people who left a woman in labor on the street. My parents' church suddenly grew cold toward them. At the grocery store, whispers trailed behind them like smoke. And then, the big one. A reporter reached out. She was doing a piece called Invisible Wounds, Families That Hurt. She asked if I'd be willing to appear. Just my voice, no face, no names. I said yes. The video hit 12 million views in 3 days. Now, everywhere I went, people offered help. A free coffee, a warm scarf for Jonah. A teacher waived the late enrollment fee so Jonah could join pre-K early. My mother sent me a letter. No return address. We didn't know how much we'd hurt you. Please, talk to us. Your father hasn't slept in weeks. But I remembered his voice on the driveway, cold and sharp. Don't bleed on the path. Your sister's shoes are white. No, they didn't get to rewrite the story now that the world was watching. Then one day, something happened I didn't expect. A knock at my door. Not my family. A girl, maybe 18. Shivering, eyes red, hair matted from crying. I'm sorry, she whispered. Are you the frozen daughter? I hesitated, then nodded. My mom kicked me out, she said, because I told her I didn't want to be a nurse like her. She said I was just like my useless dad and threw my suitcase in the snow. I invited her in. That night, over tea and a second-hand blanket, I realized this wasn't just my revenge anymore. This was a lifeline. I started organizing meetups, online support groups. I partnered with shelters, single mothers, runaways, foster care advocates. We started a foundation, Burn Bright, for kids and adults who were told they were mistakes. As for my family, they kept watching my success grow from behind a digital wall. They never stopped trying to message me, to take credit, to spin the narrative. But I never replied, because my silence was the loudest answer they'd ever hear. I moved Jonah and me to a small house near a forest trail. Quiet, peaceful, honest. One night he asked, Mom, why don't we ever visit Grandma? I took a breath. Because some people don't know how to love without hurting. He nodded, quietly wise for 6. I'm glad you do, he said. I smiled and tucked him in, kissed his forehead, and whispered, We don't need their warmth anymore, Jonah. We built our own fire. And as the wind howled softly outside and the snow fell again, I realized that icy road where they stepped over me was the first step toward everything I'd ever become. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.